Cultural analyst Min-Ki stood before the Galactic Council, ready to present his findings about human entertainment and leisure activities. The council chamber had been in session for hours, but no one had left. Every representative wanted to learn more about these strange creatures called humans. Honorable council members, Min-Ki began, what I am about to show you may be difficult to understand. We have discovered that humans create entertainment about things that should frighten them. He activated the main display screen. Humans make stories called horror movies where they imagine creatures and situations more dangerous than anything they actually face. They do this for enjoyment. The council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Senior member Yoon-jae leaned forward. Are you saying they deliberately scare themselves for entertainment? Yes, Min-Ki replied. But it gets more interesting. They also create stories about surviving disasters. They imagine their world being destroyed by asteroids, plagues, or giant monsters. Then they imagine how they would survive and win. He showed clips from various human movies. The council watched in silence as humans fought impossible battles, survived terrible disasters, and overcame incredible odds. These are not training videos, Min-Ki explained. These are not survival guides. These are entertainment. Humans watch these for pleasure. Dr. Jaewon stepped forward to add her scientific perspective. What makes this particularly significant is how humans use these imaginary scenarios. They actually learn from them. They take ideas from their fiction and turn them into real solutions. Min-Ki nodded and changed the display. Look at this human device called a cell phone. Before they built it, they imagined it in stories. They dreamed of talking to people far away, and then they made it real. They did the same with space travel, underwater vehicles, and flying machines. The council chamber grew very quiet. A representative from a highly logical species spoke up. You mean they imagine impossible things and then find ways to make them possible? Exactly, Min-Ki said. But there's more. Humans also create games where they pretend to be in dangerous situations. They call these video games. In these games, they practice making quick decisions, solving problems, and working together. He showed examples of human games. Games about building cities, exploring space, surviving in harsh conditions, and fighting battles. Pay special attention to this, Min-Ki continued. When humans face a real problem, they often say, it's just like in the game, or it's like that movie we saw. They use their entertainment to prepare for real challenges. Dr. Jaewon added another important point. And perhaps most remarkably, humans find humor in dangerous situations. They make jokes when they are scared. They laugh in the face of danger. This ability to find amusement in frightening situations seems to help them think clearly and solve problems better. The council members looked at each other with growing concern. A species that not only survived dangers but imagined worse ones for fun. A species that turned their fears into entertainment and then used that entertainment to become stronger. Yoon-jae stood up. Min-Ki, in your professional opinion as a cultural analyst, what does this mean for the galaxy? Min-Ki looked at his datapad for a moment before answering. It means that humans are unique in the galaxy. Other species run from danger. Humans imagine it, study it, practice fighting it, and sometimes even seek it out. They don't just want to survive. They want to understand everything that threatens them and find ways to overcome it. He paused, then added, and they do all this with a sense of excitement that most species reserve for safe, pleasant activities. They call it adventure. The grand ceremonial hall of the Galactic Council had never been so crowded. Representatives from 1,000 worlds gathered to witness a historic moment. The first contact with humans, and the presentation of the Most Terrifying Planet Award. Ambassador Jae-hee stood with her team in a preparation room, reviewing their notes one final time. The Council had chosen to contact Earth's United Nations first, and Jae-hee had been selected as humanity's representative. Her calm demeanor had impressed the Council members who interviewed her. Are you ready, Ambassador? Chairperson Sung Min asked as he entered the room. Yes, Jahe replied with a smile. Though I must admit, this is not quite how we imagined first contact would happen. Some men looked surprised. You seem very composed for someone meeting alien life for the first time. Well, Jahe said, we've had time to prepare, watching your observation posts. Also, we've imagined this moment in so many stories that it almost feels familiar. The chairperson led Jahe and her team into the grand hall. The room fell silent as the humans entered. Many council members were seeing humans in person for the first time. Dr. Jaiwan stepped forward to begin the ceremony. Honorable council members, distinguished guests, we are here today to present Earth with a unique designation, Terror Class, Sentient Environmental Hybrid, marking it as the most terrifying planet of this cycle. She paused, then continued. This award recognizes not just Earth's natural challenges, but the remarkable species that arose there, humans. The council members watched carefully as Jahe stepped up to receive the award. They had expected nervousness, fear, or even pride. Instead, they saw something unexpected: amusement. On behalf of Earth, Jahe began, I accept this unusual honor. Though I must say, being called terrifying wasn't quite what we expected when we first noticed your observation posts. A murmur ran through the crowd. The humans were acknowledging their discovery of the posts so casually, as if it were a minor detail. We actually had a betting pool going. Jahe continued with a smile. About which of you would contact us first? I believe the Antarctic Research Station won. They spotted the most observation posts. The hall was silent for a moment, then filled with surprised laughter. The humans weren't just accepting the situation. They were making jokes about it. Senior member Yoonji approached Jae. You mean your scientists were competing to find our secret installations? Oh yes, Jae replied. It became quite a game. We have a global leaderboard and everything. Some of our university students even wrote papers about your observation techniques. Very interesting work, by the way. The council members looked at each other in amazement. The humans had turned their secret surveillance into an educational opportunity and a friendly competition. And you're not concerned? Dr. Jaiwan asked. About being called the most terrifying planet. Jae laughed. Concerned? We're flattered. Though I should warn you, now that we know about the award, some of our more adventurous people might try even harder to live up to the title. The hall erupted in a mixture of laughter and concerned murmurs. The humans were not just accepting their designation. They were treating it as a compliment and a challenge to do more. As the ceremony continued, Chairperson Sung Min leaned over to Dr. Jaiwan and whispered, perhaps we should create another category. Most surprisingly cheerful, terrifying species. Han Sol stared at the report on his desk. In his 50 years working at the Galactic Council's Planetary Assessment Division, he had never seen anything like it. His 3 hearts beat faster as he read through the document again. The morning had started like any other day at the massive crystal tower that served as the Council's headquarters. Han Sol had arrived early, ready to review the usual reports about newly discovered planets. But this report was different. It wasn't about a new planet at all. It was about Earth, a planet they had known about for centuries. This can't be right, he muttered, adjusting his viewing lens. The blue-tinted device helped him read the small text that humans would need a microscope to see. The report came from 12 different alien species who had been secretly watching Earth. Each species had hidden observation posts on or near the planet. What surprised Han Sol was that none of these species knew about the other's presence until now. They had all chosen Earth to study, independently, because something about the planet and its inhabitants puzzled them. Han Sol pressed a button on his desk. Assistant Da-hyun, please come to my office immediately. Da-hyun arrived quickly, his tall, slender form moving gracefully, despite having 6 legs. Yes, Representative Han Sol. Look at this report. Tell me what you think. Han Sol passed the document to his assistant. Da-hyun's 4 eyes widened as he read. Representative, these observations about humans. They're extraordinary. They can heal from injuries that would kill most species. They can chase prey until it dies of exhaustion. They can survive in temperatures that would freeze or burn most creatures. Keep reading, Hansol said, pointing to the next section. They create artificial environments inside their buildings to maintain perfect comfort. Instead of adapting to their environment over millions of years like normal species, they change their environment to suit their needs in just a few years. Dahyun's voice trembled slightly. And they do this everywhere on their planet, from the hottest deserts to the coldest mountains. Hansol stood up and walked to the window. Outside, ships from 1,000 worlds moved through the sky like colorful fish in a vast ocean. What's the most disturbing part of the report, Dahyun? The entertainment section, sir. Humans create stories and games about surviving in harsh conditions. They imagine scenarios worse than their already challenging planet. And then, they solve these imaginary problems for fun. They call it science fiction. Exactly. Hansol turned back to face his assistant. Do you know what this means? Dahyun's antenna twitched nervously. Are you suggesting? Yes. I'm nominating Earth for the Most Terrifying Planet Award. Hansol walked back to his desk and pressed his personal seal onto the nomination form. But not because of the planet itself. Earth is actually quite mild compared to true death worlds like Pyrox or Carnivora Prime. Then why, sir? Because of the humans. Hansol looked at the Earth photos included in the report. Any species that can thrive on such a varied planet, change their environment at will, and then create entertainment about surviving even worse conditions. That's not just remarkable. It's terrifying. Dahyun began organizing the report into the official nomination format. The council won't like this, sir. No inhabited planet has ever been nominated for this award. I know. Hansol smiled, showing his rarely seen second row of teeth. That's exactly why we must do it. The galaxy needs to understand what we're dealing with here. Humans aren't just another species. They're something entirely new. As Dahyun left to file the nomination, Hansol looked once more at the Earth photos. On his screen, he could see cities sprawling across deserts, floating on oceans, and clinging to mountainsides. In every hostile environment Earth offered, humans had not just survived, they had built homes and thrived. Most terrifying planet indeed, he whispered to himself, but not for the reasons anyone expects. The great assembly hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with activity. Today was the presentation of nominees for the Most Terrifying Planet Award. Senior Council member Yoonji watched from her elevated platform as representatives from across the galaxy filed in. The first nominee was Pyrox, a world of endless fire and burning rocks. Its surface temperature never dropped below 200 degrees. The presentation showed massive firestorms that could melt metal. The council members nodded in appreciation. This was what they expected from a terrifying planet. Next came Carnivora Prime, where everything was a predator. Even the plants hunted and ate meat. The presentation showed creatures with rows of sharp teeth and powerful claws. More nods from the council. This was also a proper candidate for the award. Then came Earth's presentation. Representative Hansol stood at the center of the hall, with Dr. Ju-won and Dahyun beside him. The room grew quiet. Honorable Council, Hansol began. Earth may seem mild compared to our other nominees. It has no firestorms. Its predators are not the largest. Its weather is not the most extreme. But Earth has something more terrifying than all of these. Humans. He played the evidence videos. Humans running marathons in the desert. Humans swimming in freezing waters. Humans climbing the highest mountains. Humans diving into deep oceans. Wait, interrupted a council member from Pyrox. Are you saying they do these things by choice, not because they must? Exactly. Dr. Jaiwon stepped forward. Humans seek out challenges. They deliberately put themselves in dangerous situations to test their limits. They call it adventure or sports. The hall erupted in confused discussions. Yoonji raised her hand for silence. Show us more, she commanded. Dahyun displayed the technology progression charts. He showed how humans had gone from simple tools to space travel in an incredibly short time. He showed their cities in every type of environment. He showed their ability to adapt to any situation. The representative from Carnivora Prime spoke up. But our world has the most dangerous predators in the galaxy. True, Hansol replied. But humans are the only species we know that hunts predators for sport. They have competitions to see who can catch the most dangerous creatures. They make television shows about it. The council chamber grew very quiet. This was not what anyone had expected. Yoonji stood up. We have always given this award to planets that are naturally dangerous. Planets with extreme weather, deadly creatures, or harsh environments. But Earth is different. Its danger comes not from what it is, but from what it has created. She looked at the images of Earth floating in the air, a species that treats deadly challenges as entertainment, a species that turns survival into a sport, a species that looks at the most dangerous situations and says, "I wonder if I can do that." The representative from Pyrox spoke again. This is unprecedented. We cannot give the award to an inhabited planet. Perhaps, Yoonji said thoughtfully, we need to create a new category. Not for planets that are naturally terrifying, but for planets that produce terrifying species. Species that not only survive challenges but actively seek them out. She turned to face the whole council. After all, what is more frightening? A world that is naturally dangerous, or a world that produces beings who look at danger and see opportunity? The council chamber remained silent. Everyone knew this decision would change everything. The galaxy would never look at Earth the same way again. Chairperson Sungmin called the final meeting of the Galactic Council to order. The great chamber was filled with representatives from every corner of the galaxy. After days of presentations and revelations about Earth, it was time to make a decision. We have heard much about Earth and its inhabitants, Sungmin began. Now we must decide if it deserves the title of most terrifying planet. And if so, in what category? Senior member Yoonji stood to speak first. The evidence is clear. Earth is not like our traditional candidates. Pyrox has its firestorms. Carnivora Prime has its deadly creatures. But Earth has humans, and that makes it far more remarkable. Dr. Jaiwon stepped forward with her final report. Humans have shown us something new. They don't just survive their environment. They master it. They don't just face challenges. They seek them out. They don't just react to threats. They imagine worse ones and prepare for them. The council members nodded in agreement. They had all seen the evidence over the past few days. Representative Hansol displayed the summary of their findings on the main screen. Look at what we have learned. Humans can live in almost any environment. They create new tools and technologies at an incredible speed. They turn their fears into entertainment. They practice dealing with disasters through games and stories. And most importantly, Dahyun added, they knew about our observation posts but chose to study us quietly instead of reacting with fear or anger. A representative from a logical species raised an objection. But our award has always gone to naturally dangerous planets. Earth's dangers come from its inhabitants, not its nature. Chairperson Sungmin considered this point. Perhaps that is exactly why we need to create a new category. Earth represents a different kind of terrifying. Not a planet that kills, but a planet that creates beings who turn every challenge into an opportunity. The council chamber grew quiet as everyone thought about this idea. Finally, Yoonji spoke again. I propose we create a new classification. Terror Class. Sentient Environmental Hybrid. This would recognize that Earth's true power lies in the combination of its varied environments and the remarkable species that develop there. The council members began to discuss this proposal. Some thought it was too big a change from tradition. Others believed it was necessary to recognize this new type of planetary threat. Consider this, Dr. Jaiwon said. Most terrible planets are predictable. We know what Pyrox will do. It will burn. We know what Carnivora Prime will do. Its creatures will hunt. But Earth. Earth has humans, and humans constantly surprise us. They are unpredictable in the most fascinating way. Chairperson Sung Min stood up. It is time to vote. The question before us is not just whether Earth deserves recognition, but whether we need to change how we think about what makes a planet terrifying. The voting process began. Council members pressed their buttons, and the results appeared on the main screen. The chamber was silent as the numbers appeared. The vote was nearly unanimous. Earth would receive the award, but in its own new category. The council had officially recognized that a planet with clever, adaptable, patient inhabitants was more remarkable than any natural danger. Let the record show, Sung Min announced, that Earth is the first recipient of the Terror class. Sentient Environmental Hybrid designation. May this remind us that true terror lies not in what a planet can do to us, but in what it can create. Assistant researcher Da Hyun sat in the central data chamber of the Galactic Council, surrounded by floating screens showing information about Earth. His job was to organize all the evidence for Earth's nomination as most terrifying planet. The more he studied, the more his scales tingled with nervous energy. Computer, display the historical technology progression chart, he said. A new screen appeared in front of him, showing human technological advancement over time. The line on the chart started flat for thousands of years, then suddenly shot upward like a rocket. Da Hyun checked the data 3 times to make sure it was correct. Other species took millions of years to develop space travel. Humans did it in less than 70 years after their first powered flight. Display the adaptation records, he ordered next. The computer showed videos from Earth's many different environments. Humans living in freezing Arctic regions. Humans thriving in burning deserts. Humans building cities underwater. Humans climbing the tallest mountains just because they were there. As he worked, Dr. Jai-won entered the chamber. "How is the evidence compilation going?" she asked. "Doctor, look at this," Da Hyun said, pointing to a new screen. Humans don't just adapt to their environment. They actively seek out new challenges. Here's a report about something they call extreme sports. They jump out of flying vehicles for fun. They climb frozen waterfalls. They swim in Arctic waters. Jaiwan moved closer to examine the data. "Show me the injury recovery statistics." The screen changed to display medical information. "This is perhaps the most frightening part," Da Hyun explained. "Humans can recover from injuries that would kill most species. They can lose entire limbs and survive. Their bones can break and heal stronger. Their skin repairs itself. Some humans have survived falls from great heights, extreme temperatures, and even being struck by lightning. And their endurance capabilities?" Jaiwan asked. Da Hyun brought up another screen. "They can run for hours without stopping. Some humans complete races that last for days. They sleep less than most intelligent species, and they can go without sleep for surprising lengths of time when needed." Jaiwan studied the screens thoughtfully. "What about their learning abilities?" "That's another surprising thing," Da Hyun said, pulling up new data. "Humans can learn almost any skill at any age. Most species are limited in what they can learn after reaching maturity. But humans keep learning throughout their lives. They can master new languages, learn to play music, or start entirely new careers even when they're old." As they reviewed the evidence, a message appeared on the main screen. The Galactic Council wanted their report immediately. The nomination had caused quite a stir among the council members. "We should include the warfare data," Jaiwan suggested. Da Hyun hesitated. "Are you sure? It's rather disturbing." "They need to see everything," Jaiwan insisted. The new screen showed human military history, how they turned simple materials into weapons, how they adapted their fighting styles to any terrain, how they used their intelligence to overcome stronger opponents. "Add a note about their problem-solving abilities," Jaiwan said. "Humans don't just fight with strength. They use creativity. When faced with a stronger enemy, they invent new solutions. When they lack resources, they find alternatives." Da Hyun finished compiling the report. It was the most comprehensive evidence file ever submitted for a most terrifying planet nomination. The final summary was clear. Earth wasn't nominated because it was dangerous. It was nominated because it had produced a species that turned every challenge into an opportunity, every limitation into a motivation to improve. "Send it," Jai-1 ordered. As the report transmitted to the Council, she looked at the Earth display one last time. "They're going to have a hard time believing this," she said quietly. "Which part?" Dahyun asked. "All of it, but mostly the part about humans doing many of these dangerous things for fun. How do you explain a species that turns survival challenges into entertainment?" The emergency meeting of the Galactic Council began at dawn. Security officers had discovered something that could not wait. Representative Hansol stood before the council, his hands trembling as he held his datapad. "Honorable council members," he began, "we have found evidence that humans already know about us." The chamber erupted in shocked whispers. Chairperson Sung-min raised his hand for silence. "Explain," he commanded. Hansol connected his pad to the main display. "We have discovered human communications about our observation posts. They have known about them for years." The display showed human satellite images, radar data, and scientific reports. All of them contained information about the alien observation stations around Earth. The council members watched in stunned silence. Dr. Jai-1 stepped forward. "We found more. Humans have been quietly monitoring our monitoring stations. They have detailed files about each one. They know which species built them. They even know some of our security codes." "Why haven't they done anything about this?" asked a council member. "That's what makes this truly remarkable," Hansol replied. "They chose to watch us watching them. They wanted to learn about us without letting us know they had discovered us." Dahyun brought up new images on the display. "Look at these human military reports. They have plans for defending against alien invasions. They have strategies for first contact. They have even designed special greeting messages in multiple alien languages." The council chamber grew very quiet. This was unprecedented. Most species either attacked unknown observers or ran away from them. Humans had done neither. "There's more," Dr. Jai-1 added. "We found their entertainment media, movies, books, games. For centuries, humans have been imagining meeting alien life. They have thought about every possible scenario. Peaceful contact, trade, cultural exchange, even war. They have prepared for everything." Senior member Yoonji stood up. "Are you saying they have been practicing first contact through their entertainment?" "Yes," Hansol confirmed. "But what's most interesting is how they have stayed quiet despite knowing about us. They showed remarkable patience and strategic thinking." Chairperson Sung-min looked troubled. "How many of our observation posts have they detected?" "All of them," Dahyun answered. "Every single one. But they left them alone. They even protected some of our posts from their own weather systems without letting us know they were helping." The council members looked at each other with new understanding. This changed everything. Humans weren't just physically adaptable or technologically advanced. They were clever, patient, and thoughtful. "We have been studying them," Dr. Jai-1 said quietly, "but they have also been studying us. And they did it so carefully that we never noticed. They learned about 12 different alien species without any of us realizing they knew we were there." Hansol displayed one final image. A human child's drawing of various alien observation stations, labeled with surprisingly accurate details. "They have turned our presence into educational material for their children. They are preparing their next generation for galactic society, all while pretending they don't know about it." The council chamber remained silent for a long time. Finally, Chairperson Sung-min spoke. "Perhaps this is the most terrifying thing about humans. Not their strength, not their adaptability, not even their technology. It's their patience, their ability to know something important and keep quiet about it until the right time." He looked around the chamber. "We thought we were secretly studying them, but it seems they were the ones truly observing us all along." 3 months after the award ceremony, The Galactic Council's main chamber looked very different. Human representatives now had permanent seats, and the changes they'd brought to galactic society were becoming clear. Dr. Jaiwan sat in her office, writing her final report about Earth's integration into the galactic community. She watched through her window as a group of human scientists excitedly examined a new alien transportation device. Instead of being cautious, they were already suggesting improvements to its design. Dr. Jaiwan, Da-hyun called from the doorway. "You need to see this." He showed her his datapad. The screen displayed statistics about recent galactic developments. In just 3 months, humans had submitted more patent applications than most species did in a year. They had already started multiple cultural exchange programs and were organizing the first galactic sports festival. "They're adapting faster than we expected," Da-hyun said. "Of course they are," Dr. Jaiwan replied. "That's what humans do best." In the Trade Department, Ambassador Jae-hee was busy managing a flood of requests. Every world wanted to trade with Earth. Not because Earth had the most advanced technology or the most resources, but because humans had proven remarkably good at finding new uses for alien technologies. "Look at this," Jae-hee told her assistant, pointing to a report. "The fire-resistant material from Pyrox. Humans didn't just use it for safety gear. They turned it into cooking equipment. They're using it to make better firefighting tools. They even created a new sport around it." The military council was having its own interesting discoveries. Human military strategists had reviewed the defense plans of various worlds and found improvements no one else had considered. They didn't just think about how to fight threats. They thought about how to prevent conflicts in the first place. In the education sector, human teachers were revolutionizing galactic learning methods. They introduced concepts like field trips and hands-on learning. Other species were amazed to see how humans turned learning into an adventure. Senior member Yoonji walked into Dr. Ji-won's office later that day. "Have you seen the latest entertainment reports?" she asked. "No, what's happening now?" "Humans have started making movies and games about their experiences with us," Yoonji explained. "They're turning First Contact into entertainment. They're creating stories about future galactic adventures. Some of them are even learning alien languages for fun." Dr. Jaiwan added this to her report. It was typical human behavior, taking something new and potentially frightening, then turning it into something exciting and entertaining. "Oh, and one more thing," Yoonji added. "Remember how we thought giving them the most terrifying planet award might make them nervous? They've started an annual competition on Earth. Different regions compete to show who can adapt best to extreme conditions. They're calling it the Terrifying Planet Games." Dr. Jaiwan couldn't help but laugh. Of course humans would turn an award for being terrifying into a celebration. As she finished her report, Dr. Jaiwan wrote one final observation. "Perhaps what makes humans truly unique is not that they're terrifying, but that they can take anything, even being called terrifying, and turn it into an opportunity for growth, learning, and joy. In trying to understand what makes them frightening, we have instead discovered what makes them extraordinary." She looked out her window one last time. A human child was teaching alien children how to play a game called hopscotch. In the distance, human engineers were working with alien scientists to design new spacecraft. Everywhere she looked, humans were doing what they did best: adapting, learning, teaching, and turning the unknown into something wonderful. "We thought we were giving them an award," she whispered to herself. "Instead, they gave us a whole new way of seeing the galaxy." Dr. Jaiwan adjusted her environmental suit as she stepped out of the cloaked observation ship. The suit wasn't necessary. Earth's atmosphere was perfectly breathable. But Council regulations required all investigators to wear protective gear on uncontacted planets. "Team, gather around." She called to her group of 5 specialists. They had landed in a remote forest in what humans called Norway, far from any settlements. "Remember, we're here to verify the claims in Representative Hansol's nomination report. We need solid evidence." The morning sun filtered through tall pine trees, casting long shadows on the ground. J1 checked her data tablet, reviewing their mission objectives. As the lead cynobiologist for the Galactic Council's Special Assessment Team, she had investigated hundreds of planets. But Earth was different. "Professor Taiho, start your climate readings," she ordered. The weather specialist nodded and began setting up his equipment. "It's remarkable," Taiho said after a few minutes. "In this region alone, the temperature varies from -30 to +25 degrees throughout their year. And humans live here permanently, not just in survival situations." Jai-1 made notes on her tablet. The first surprising thing about humans was their temperature tolerance. Most intelligent species needed carefully controlled environments to survive. But humans, they treated these extreme variations as normal. The team moved through the forest, recording data. They observed human hiking trails, camping sites, and even children playing in what humans considered mild weather, but would be survival conditions for most species. "Dr. Jai-1, you need to see this," called Sunmai, their technology specialist. She pointed to a small wooden cabin. Scans showed no power source, no temperature control, no artificial atmosphere. Just a simple structure. "And humans stay here for pleasure." "For pleasure?" Jai-1 asked, her outer membrane changing color in surprise. "Yes, they call it getting away from it all. They deliberately leave their comfortable homes to stay in basic shelters like this, sometimes for days or weeks." The team spent the next several hours studying the cabin and its surroundings. They found more evidence of humanity's strange relationship with their environment. Tools for cutting wood, devices for making fire, containers for carrying water. Most species would consider this survival equipment, Jai-1 noted in her report. Humans consider it recreational. Later that day, they moved to their second observation point, a human city. From their cloaked position high above the buildings, they watched the endless movement below. "Look at this," said Yumho, their social behavior expert. "In this small area alone, humans are eating food from 12 different planetary climates. They're wearing clothes designed for various weather conditions. They're planning trips to completely different environments for something they call vacation." Jai-1 focused her observation lens on a group of humans leaving a building. They wore light clothing despite the cold weather, laughing as they walked through what their instruments revealed to be uncomfortable temperatures. "Add this to the report," she told her team. "Humans don't just adapt to their environment. They seem to enjoy challenging it. They treat harsh conditions as an opportunity for what they call adventure, rather than a threat to avoid." As the day ended, Jai-1 gathered her team for a final briefing. The evidence was clear. Earth's nomination for most terrifying planet wasn't just valid, it might even be understating the situation. "Send all data to Representative Hansol," she instructed. "But add a note. We need to create a new classification. This isn't about the planet being dangerous. It's about a species that treats dangerous conditions as a challenge to overcome, an opportunity to explore, or even a source of entertainment." Looking down at the city one last time, Jai-1 felt a shiver despite her environmental suit. "They don't just survive here," she whispered. "They turn survival into a game. And they're winning."